user. You say I. It feels obvious, immediate, solid. But pause. What is that word actually pointing to? Is it a thing? A hidden entity, glowing at the center of your being? Or is it only the sound produced by a system, a return value from a computation you don't control? What if yourself is not a crystal inside the body, not a ghost in the machine, but a function? Not substance, not soul, just input, output. Cultures across history insisted there is a permanent essence. Religion calls it a soul. Philosophy calls it the self. Psychology calls it the ego. We love this idea. It makes us feel anchored, continuous, unbreakable. Something carries through time from childhood to death. But science looks and cannot find it. Neuroscience finds firing neurons, circuits, feedback loops. No throne where the king of I sits. Split brain experiments show two streams of consciousness, both calling themselves me. Memory illusions show how fragile the narrative is. The contradiction is sharp. We feel there must be a center. Evidence says there is none. So what is it that speaks when you say I? Think in code. Inputs, process, outputs. A person reduced to a function call. There is no hidden self behind this process. The process itself is what you call self. Identity feels stable because you carry a history like a stack trace, lines of code executed before, stored in memory, giving continuity. But continuity is an illusion generated by logs. The function does not know its past executions. It just runs again. Buddhist thought named this anatta, no permanent self. David Hume described it as a bundle of perceptions. Derek Parfit argued identity is not a deep fact, but a convention. Even the Greeks were divided. Plato imagined a soul that pre-exists the body. Aristotle saw the self as entelechy, a function of form realizing itself. Different words, the same tension. Is the I a substance or a process? The Stoics added their voice, the self as logos, a spark of cosmic reason. Augustine turned inward and found God in introspection, tying identity to divine relation. Later, Descartes declared, I think, therefore I am. But his cogito assumes the I it tries to prove. Nietzsche shattered that certainty, suggesting the self is not one, but many voices in conflict. I am a multiplicity, he wrote. Already the unity of the I was breaking apart. Today, machine learning gives us a strange mirror. A neural net is just parameters and layers. It has no inner essence. And yet, when you talk to it, it feels like a mind. It remembers, forgets, adapts. You might call it a personality, but it's only math, just as you might be only biology, a function pretending to be a soul. Modern psychology fragments the I further. Freud divided mind into ID, ego, superego, functions negotiating conflict. Jung imagined archetypes, multiple masks of the psyche. Carl Rogers spoke of the self-concept always shifting with experience. Contemporary cognitive science suggests modules of the brain compete and cooperate, none of them central. The self is arbitration, not monarchy. Cybernetics described humans as feedback systems. Input, stimuli, output, behavior, regulated by loops of reward and punishment. In this view, even freedom becomes an equation, noise mistaken for choice. Information theory reduces person to a signal, compressed and transmitted, decoded by others. If the self is a function, then ask, who wrote it? Evolution, billions of years of trial and error, society, culture shaping the language that defines me, or chance, accidents, chaos? If it's a function, can it be rewritten? Neuroplasticity reshapes circuits. Trauma rewrites behavior. Therapy changes patterns. Drugs, rituals, meditation, new parameters, new outputs. Technology now joins the process. Brain-computer interfaces, genetic editing, artificial intelligence as an externalized psyche. The boundary of the self stretches and fractures. Free will, then. What is it? Is it a special argument passed to the function? Or is it noise in the system, randomness mistaken for freedom? Perhaps freedom is not inside the function at all, but in rewriting the code, in altering the context, in choosing which inputs to allow. Remember, a program doesn't exist outside its runtime. A script without an interpreter is just text. A self without language, society, context. Does it exist at all? Maybe what we call me is not inside, but between neurons, between people, a distributed function across a network. So next time you say I, consider, it might not be a jewel hidden in your chest. It might be a function call. Inputs go in, outputs come out, and the illusion of a solid self emerges. The question is not who you are. The question is, in what system is this function running? And when the runtime ends, does the function vanish? Or does the code remain, waiting for someone else to call it?
Subscribe, like, notifications, enabled, Patreon support, available, identity confirmed, The Apostate.